It's the very time that we discuss about access control privileges. Access control privileges are permissions that are granted to users, roles, or applications, defining what actions such as select, insert, or delete can be performed on specific database objects like tables, views, warehouses, etc. They ensure only authorized individual access sensitive resources, frequently managed by RBAC, to enforce the Snowflake principle of least privilege. Studying for Snowflake Advanced Architect exam requires a shift from knowing what privileges exist to knowing how they interact within secure architecture. You don't need to memorize the entire list. You need to understand the core functional groups in the access control privilege, right? There is a vast list of access control privilege, so it's tough as a human to memorize all of these things. So I had categorized the most important privileges into 5 parts specifically curated for the architect exam. The first one is the global privileges. These are account level privileges typically controlled or held by account admin or delegated to the specialized security roles. The first is manage grant. This is very crucial one as it allows a user to grant or revoke the privileges on any object they really don't own. It's essential for centralizing security management without using account admin profile. Next is create object. Please understand that create database or create warehouse and create user are the global and must be granted to the account admin. Third one is monitor usage. It's critical for cost optimization questions and allows non-admins to see credit usage and billing history. Fourth is apply policy. Architects must know that the role creating a policy is often different from the role applying to it table. Next up is warehouse privileges. Snowflake always separates the ability to use any warehouse from the ability to manage its cost. The first warehouse privilege is usage. It's required to run any kind of query. Without this, you cannot even turn on your compute at all. Second is operate. It's the ability to manually suspend or resume or abort your queries. Third is modify. It's the ability to resize, either scale up or scale down or change the auto suspension settings. Fourth is monitor. It is the ability to see the query history and load the charts for that specific warehouse. Third one is DB, schema, or table level privileges. For architect exam, we must remember that Snowflake uses a container model. To access a table, you need a chain of usage privileges. Database should be having usage privilege, schema should be having usage privilege, and table should be having select privilege. Then only you can see the table data. If a user has a select on a table but lacks the usage on the parent schema or database, they cannot even see the data at all. Fourth one is storage and integration privileges, and inside that first we have usage on integration. It is required to use a storage integration or API integration. This is the bridge between the Snowflake and your cloud provider. Next up is usage on stage. It is required for copy into or get or put files if you are working with internal stages. Third is read and write on the stage. It is specific to the internal stage for all kind of file managements. Fifth is advanced security privileges. These are ownership privilege. This is the most powerful privilege. It allows you to drop the object and grant privileges to any other object. Next is imported privilege. It is specific to Snowflake sharing. It allows a consumer to access data shared by a provider. Third is references. It is required if you are building foreign key constraint between the tables. How the tables will communicate with each other is known as references. It is rarely used for performance, but it is very common in DDLs. If there are some referential integrity, we mention this referential integrity inside the DDLs. The last one is the future grants. I had put that as 5.1 because this is the select privilege which we grant on all the future tables which we create in the respective schema, and these schemas are only those schema on which we already have the usage privilege. Next is private connectivity. Snowflake provides private connectivity to ensure data traffic between our cloud environment and the Snowflake service remains intact on the cloud provider's network's backbone, bypassing the public internet. Important to note that is this feature requires business critical edition for Snowflake account. Unfortunately, I have a Snowflake trial account on top of enterprise edition. When I was trying to run this private connectivity, I was getting this error of business critical edition. I will show you the error, but let's first talk about private connectivity options by cloud provider. Each cloud provider uses its native private networking service to connect to Snowflake. For example, for AWS private link, we need to connect with our Amazon VPC to Snowflake VPC using interface VPC endpoints. Second is Azure private link. It is required to connect Azure virtual network to Snowflake virtual network via private endpoints. And third is Google private service connect. It provides the private connectivity between your Google VPC to Snowflake VPC by making the Snowflake appear as a resource with a private IP address in your network. If we talk about key benefits, the first benefit of having a private connectivity is enhanced security. It eliminates the exposure to any kind of public internet and reduces the attack surface by directly using the private IP addresses. Next up is improved performance. It offers more reliable connectivity and lower latency through a direct connection on the provider's backbone. And third is simplified compliance. It helps meet strict regulatory requirements for data privacy in sectors like finance and healthcare, where data is very sensitive, and we should be having a private connectivity between the provider and the Snowflake to ensure that it is a very secure environment and it is on the private IPs. Make sense? Let's see this in action. I will go to my Snowflake, and this is my AWS private link file which I had created for you. You can find it on my GitHub. Okay. The first thing, we need to key my current region, because on top of the region only you can create your private link. So as of now, my region is US West. So once you know your region, you need to go to your AWS account. You need to click on this CLI. I will do reconnect. And once you have the connection established, as of now it is taking time, I will go back to my Snowflake and I will run this script in my CLI. This script will give me my account identity. Okay, so I will come here, I will paste my script here and I will hit run. And once I run this, I will get my account ID. And once I got my account ID, I need to get the federated token, which is nothing, just the JSON file, which is required for my next parameter. So I will go here and I will copy paste this script. And once I run this script, I should be able to see a JSON file, which is required for my next parameter. Okay. The next is the Snowflake defined parameter, which is authorized private link, and it requires two parameters. First is my ID and second is federated token, which we had just generated here as JSON. So once you mention your ID and your JSON, you need to run this one. Okay. And when you try to run this one, you will get an error stating that business critical or higher edition is required for this operation. Please upgrade to the valid edition and then retry. So in this case, if you had already created the trial version on top of enterprise edition, unfortunately you need to create another Snowflake account on top of business critical edition, and then you should be able to run this script. Okay, as of now I'm just skipping it. Once you create this private link, you need to get the private configurations. Okay, the output of this will be the list of URLs, and it will be having a private link VPC ID associated with it, and it will look something like this. Okay, and then at step 4 you will create the AWS gateway. In order to create the AWS gateway, you need to go to your AWS account. Okay, and you need to, first I will close this one, and you need to search here VPC. Okay, and it will take you to this VPC service. And here you need to create an endpoint. And in order to create the endpoint, you need to go to private links and you need to click on endpoints. And then here I will mention create my endpoint, and I will create a endpoint, let's say Snowflake private link. And then I will scroll down and I will come to my services, and in services I need to select the respective services which are required. As of now, I am clicking on this one, and then I need to create a VPC. I have already created a VPC, so I will assign the VPC to this one, and then I need to mention my subnets. Okay, so I need to create few subnets. I have one subnet, so I am assigning this one, and I will assign this here. And once you assign the subnets, you will be able to see the security groups which you have. I had already configured my security groups. If you don't have, you can create new security groups. And once you do that, you can obviously mention some custom policy or full access policy based on your requirement. As of now, I'm going with full access, and then you should just click on this create endpoint, and it had successfully created the private link for you guys. Okay, so obviously you need to configure this based on your requirements. Okay, as of now I just configured it based on demo purposes. It is starting, so that's why it is saying status is pending for this one. This is how we create the AWS gateways. Okay, once I had created my AWS gateway, I need to run this command, and here I need to mention my own VPC. And if this returns a private IP, like something like 172.31 or something very relevant to IP, this means the bridge is built between the Snowflake and your private link. This is how we work with any kind of private link. I had shown you demo with AWS. Similar we will follow in Azure and GCP. That's pretty much about private links.